got my my monocoat here, and I got the black and white. All right, so for this I'm going to use the black throughout the whole bottom side of the wing. All right, so this whole monocoat basically is gonna be one whole sheet. I'm not even gonna cut it in half or anything. I will trim whatever I have to take off, and I'll utilize the trimmings there to continue covering the bottom side of the ailerons, and also probably use some of it for the top side of the pattern shadow design. All right, so with that said, we're gonna get started. All right. Templates already cut out right here and right here. It's basically my construction paper template that I got from my wife's stash. Alright, so I got that all cut out here, and then I went ahead and transferred the mark using my Sharpie marker onto the white and onto the red. And if you're wondering why I did not cut the white exactly like the template, it's because when this thing overlaps, I cut that a little bit over, about 1/4 of an inch bigger than that original template. That way I have a lip basically to iron this red onto. Alright, so I'm gonna give it about a 1/4 of an inch, or about even less than, maybe even 1/8, depending. Alright, overlap just like so. Alright, and the reason why I did not follow that template to cut the white is because on this piece right here, we want to make sure that we actually have some sort of backing for this part. Alright, I mean, I could have easily cut that just right about here, which is fine as well, but doing it this way here, I know for a fact that if I accidentally place this wrong or a little bit offset when I'm starting to iron it down, and it transfers back down to this area, if it has any slight movement, my cut here will be off as well, and then I would just basically have wasted the whole sheet of Monocoat. So by doing this, not cutting the white to match this, leaves a lot of room for if I should kind of deviate a little bit when I'm ironing it down, and it tends to kind of move and stretch and stuff. Alright, so, which is, you know, it could happen. I just do not want to be going through all that mess. You know, I'd rather be safe than sorry right now. So and if I do run out of Monocoat because I messed up, you pretty much damn skippy, I ain't gonna be finishing this damn plane. Alright, because I'm gonna end up having to order and we'll have to wait. So there we go, that's what it is. I'm gonna just basically grab my glass piece that's over there, put it on the table. I'm gonna expose the backing of the red, and I'm gonna basically iron it and seal that edge, just the edge, and then maybe this part here onto the white. And then we will basically take this and plop it over the wing, and basically just cover it like normal. All right.
What we do here is go back.
Alright guys, so we got done with the right side wing panel. Alright, so this is basically how I do it. Alright, if you see in the time lapse, not too sure if it's gonna pick it up because it's so fast, but this is how I do it. So you see I tack all the corners first, right? I pull, I stretch, I tack it down. Alright, I leave one side, like if this is the last side I'm gonna tack down, I don't tack it down completely. It's just enough to hold it. You could even use tape, because more than likely when you start moving forward or moving towards that end, you're gonna have a lot of excess from the stretching. So once you pop that back up and pull it even more, you get all that wrinkles back out. All right, the whole key to covering basically is trying to get the wrinkles out before you even apply any heat. So the minimum amount of wrinkles, the better. All right, or if just no wrinkles period, even better. You even have a better finish. All right, but as you can see, I applied everything all at one time, doing the joining the two parts beforehand. You can, before I used to do it where I put, like, for example, the white down on the actual structure first, and then I'll lay the actual the second color on. And the problem with that is, if it's a sheeted wing or a sheeted piece with a backing, then yeah, it's not a problem. you know. But when you get to the open bay areas, that's where you're gonna have your issue. Is trying to get that top monocoat to adhere to the bottom one, because when you're putting pressure with the iron and you got no support underneath, how is it really gonna, how are you gonna put that pressure down without basically melting the monocoat, both layers, and making it droop down, all right? And then you'll end up having wrinkles at that joint. So even if you do manage to blend or adhere the top and bottom on an open bay, and you have that sagging, you're gonna take your heat gun and shrink it up. Now, if it did not adhere properly and you use the heat gun, it's gonna separate, all right? And then you're gonna have pooling. It's gonna pool away from each other, and you don't want that, all right? So that's the reason why I especially if it's an open bay area, I tend to do the method I just showed earlier by actually sealing the edges, both monocoats together. Even if it was 5 different colors, 5 different, you would do the same to, like, for example, this whole wing panel had, let's say 5 colors on it in the same pattern or something. I would do all 5 colors, seal them all together at one time, and then apply it onto the structure. Alright guys, so we've got the left side of the wing also covered. The only thing left to do is the shadow highlight there on the left side of the wing. That's pretty much the only thing I gotta do for the top side, and then this one is done. Then I'll go back to the bottom side of the wing to do the white accents, pretty much like the black but in white and a little bit bigger. It's gonna go basically there, and I also got to cover the hatches. But other than that, once I do the black and then I do those white pieces, the whole aircraft is done, covered. All I do is finish painting the cowling and the wheel pants, and then put the clear coat over it. Oh, and finish painting that canopy. Today, basically, the only thing we have left on this wing is to put the black strips here on the left wing panel. All right. So I wanted to just basically show exactly how I do that, since I notice on most of my videos it's majority of the other coverings and I never really show this part. So how I do that is basically utilizing the same template I used to cut the red right here, and this is the white side template, right? If you put them together and you kind of separate it apart, you can actually see this area right here that is exposed. Kind of gives you the visual on how you want to see the black, the pattern, all right, the shadow effect. Or you can have it just in mind and say, I want the shadow to come from here and kind of point out, kind of give it look like an actual shadow effect itself, more than a highlight, in other words. All right, so it could be like this. You can have it like that, so it really is all up to you. But in this case, you see, this is exactly how I wanted it to be. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to utilize both pieces to make one cut, well, one black strip. All right, and so how we're gonna do that is I'm gonna utilize the white side template guide, and I'm gonna concentrate on this. If you look at the right side wing panel, I'm gonna concentrate on this piece first. Alright? Now, there's one thing about monocoat. People tend to think that you gotta do everything on one shot, it's no problem to go ahead and overlay your monocoat over each other. Alright? So this whole piece that you see on the right hand wing side, this is not all one one piece just plopped on there. All right, you can do that if you get all your measurements right, or you make a separate template. All right, but what I'm doing is I'm trying to utilize the best possible method with the least amount of work. All right, and so it's okay to have your monocle join at certain areas to make it look like one. All right, and so a lot of people try to strive to get that flawless, seamless look. I got you. You know, it's beautiful when you have that type of work, right? But there's just some cases that you're not gonna be able to get that. You cannot just use one whole sheet of monocoat to get that seamless look, all right? You're gonna have to cut and join and overlap, and you know, if it's the same color monocoat, it's not really gonna be that noticeable. If it's two different colors, then you gotta make sure you cut it straight, you know, and everything, so it could be nice and pretty. All right, so anyways, enough talking about that. And so what I'm gonna do first is you always want to make sure, you know, that you get your measurements to mimic the left and the right, especially if it's a certain pattern. All right, and so I'm gonna start off with the bottom here, concentrate on this piece of the shadow. And so I'm gonna make sure that I get my measurement on the opposite wing, which is basically 1 5/8 inch at the farthest point or the thickest point. All right, and so over here it's gonna also be 1 5/8 from the red to the outer port. All right, and so what I'm gonna do is to give you a visual on before I put this on the black monocoat. This is basically what I'm striving for. I'm gonna basically utilize the white side template. If I place this on the monocoat, it's gonna be about like right here. So I'm gonna end up putting this template, the white side, on the monocoat, and I'm gonna cut this inner part. I'm gonna get this part cut properly, and then once that is done being cut on the monocoat, I'm gonna take the red side template and I'm gonna utilize this portion of the template to cut the opposite side or the other side of this strip. Alright, that way when you peel it off, you're basically getting that black strip we're trying to strive to cut. Alright, so could I just use this whole thing like that? The problem is you see this is going off of the red. So I couldn't just cut this like that and put the strip, you know, on there. I want to make sure I get the nicest and cleanest cut. Because if you try to freehand, most of the time you're going to be crooked. You're going to have little waves and everything like that. So utilizing a template, if it's construction paper, cardboard, styrene plastic, sheets and stuff like that, it doesn't matter. As long as you have something to have a guide, alright, to guide you. Construction paper wise, it gives you a visual reference mark, but the problem is that if you excuse me, if you go off, you will end up cutting into your construction paper. The blade will go right through it. Alright, so you could still make a mistake, you could still go crooked. So something hard plastic, you know, something see-through would be good. So something that will prevent you from cutting into the your template, in other words, if you're not that great at freehand, you know, or scribing or making cuts straight. Alright, so in my case, what I do is I normally just eyeball. I put my razor blade right at the edge of the template, and I'm just basically tracing or following this area. Now normally I'll take the black Sharpie marker and I'll just trace it first, take off the template, and then just freehand cut that. The problem is that I'm using it on black. Alright, the Sharpie marker is not really going to show up on black, and it's just going to be that much harder for you to look for the scribe mark or the mark itself. So on black, I have no choice but to just freehand the cut. Excuse me, based off of that. All right. So with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna cut, like I said, I'm gonna use the white side of the template to cut the inner side, and for the outer side, I'm gonna use the red side of the template, and then that's what I'm gonna use to follow this portion. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do this on the actual monocoat itself and see how it comes out, and hopefully that gives you a little insight on how I do this. Other people might have different techniques, different methods, and this one thing great about this hobby is that there's not one specific style. Everybody has, collectively everybody can put things together and come up with theirs and eventually create something else that's probably even better than what previous person had done. And that's one thing great about this hobby is everyone tends to learn off each other, right? And some of these I have learned from back in the 80s, and these techniques are still good and working today. And so if you've seen some of these techniques that I'm doing and it kind of clicks, you're like, oh, I've seen that before, right? I'm not copying any particular person, right? This is just stuff that I was trained back in the 80s from the owner of the hobby shop, Willoughby Hobbies. All right, so he taught me a lot of these little things, and then through the years I developed my own style. And remember, back in the 80s and 90s, we didn't have internet. We had article clippings in the magazines, RCM, I forget what other magazines were back there. I was so young at the time, so we didn't have internet. We couldn't Google or YouTube, how to do this. So just keep that in mind when you see me do things. All right. So these things that I'm doing basically is just from years of experience, years trial and error, and I try to figure out things to make it easier. In a sense, with the basic stuff that you have, right? We can get all high tech and all, but I'm just using construction paper, guys. You can use cardboard, you can use whatever, as long as it's something that gives you a visual reference of the pattern you're trying to do, where you can also duplicate that to do one side and the other, right? Especially if you're doing a pattern like this that needs to kind of look the same, right? Use a pattern, use a stencil. If you're good at freehand, then great, but most of us are not. All right, so let's get started. Enough talking. I just wanted to share that, and we'll get cracking with this. Guys, so there we go. We got the cut, and basically this is what I came up with, right? All right, so it's just gonna go on just like so. All right. Now you could also double check by putting it on the other side. Make sure that you are about the same. So we're gonna basically go ahead and iron this on. So here's another little tip. You know how we got the monocoat, right? And we normally have the plastic, the separator part to remove the backing All right. In cases like this, you can either use your X-Acto blade, the tip, and kind of poke at the backing and then lift it up, or use pieces of masking tape like this and separate it. All right. So that just makes it that much easier. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of give this a little bit of an overlap. All right. Maybe about 1/16 or so, depending on what I'm trying to strive for here. There you go, just like that. Just like that. All right. And so I'm gonna go ahead and iron that on. Just kind of give a little close up there. All right. So I got my sealing iron. It's been on for a while already. So I'm just gonna go ahead and iron this down. I'm gonna kind of tap the tip so it doesn't move on me. Kind of massage it down. All right. Trying to make sure that it's as relaxed it's gonna be. I'm just gonna give a little circular motion, just like that. All right. Now do this very slowly. All right. You don't want to get air bubbles trapped in. Start from the center of your pattern, and then just work your way out, just like that. Little circular motion right here while you're putting a little bit of pressure, not too much where you're gonna deform your wood underneath. All right. And you're gonna have that's pretty much about it, really. Just like that. All right. So you can see that. Sorry about that. All right, and then I'm gonna go ahead and I wasn't trying to iron this part down just yet, but I guess I got so much heat there already. So, oh well, I'm just gonna go with it. All right, so from here, I do the same thing. Kind of tack that down and then work my way towards the end. This one you can even just go like that. Normally that works. I said normally. Alright, so basically there it is. I got that side done, and then from there I'm gonna do the exact same thing for this part. All right, so I'm gonna concentrate on this piece first, this main piece, which is goes all the way to the tip, just like that right there. I'm gonna apply that on here, and then from here to this tip is gonna be a one small strip that goes right there. All right, now when you see it from here, right, you don't see any joints or anything like that. When you get closer, it's probably where you're gonna see the overlap. But hey, it is what it is. Like I said, if you're really anal about that and you really want it to look like one piece, then by all means do a separate template. That way you can go ahead and cut that properly and then apply it. For me, it works just fine. All right, the way I'm doing it. All right, so that's basically it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully it kind of gives you guys a little bit of an idea. All right, now just go out there, try it out, and then perfect it. That's all it is. All right, guys. So there you go. That is the wing, completely covered up top. Technically, the wing is completed.
Basically all I gotta do now is just add the accents in the bottom, or the other pieces like that in white. um, that way, you know, when it's flying, you kind of see it a little bit, you know. I mean, it's not like you're gonna miss this in the air. But anyhow, that's pretty much about it as far as the top side is concerned. We're gonna go ahead and transition right back to the back side, or the bottom side of this wing, and get that pieces put on. And then later on today, we're basically gonna be start wet sanding the cowling and the wheel pan, and also that canopy there, to spray on the white on that canopy, and spray on the red on the wheel pans and the cowling. And then once that is all dried again, we'll have to add the white accent and the black shadow onto the front of the cowling, extending up to the front. Alright, but other than that, yeah, man, I tell you, by the end of the day, I think she'll be done. Cool. So, Merry Christmas, you guys. So this is basically what I'm doing on Christmas. Alright, here on the island of Guam, I'm just basically making myself some lettering stencils for the extra 300 here. So it's basically drawing out how I do my letterings, cutting it out through monocoat. Should I decide not to use the cry cut machine to cut the letters out, this is basically doing it the harder way. And why do I show this? It's because not everybody has a cry cut machine. Not everybody has access to certain things, right? So I'm gonna just basically, this is how I do this. Now, for example, you wanted to do 2 sets of letterings based off your own stencil you're drawing. All right, how I do this, instead of making 2 sets of this template, I just basically would take the monocoat, take one monocoat down onto the surface, and then place a second one on top of that one, and then tape that also down. Alright, and then the idea behind all that is basically taking your stencil or template and put it on top, and then take this down also. Alright, and then you go with your X-Acto blade and you trace, basically cutting all the way through each layer, all the way to the actual glass. That's the reason why I got a glass surface. That way everything is smoother and you don't really dull your blade that quick. Alright, so that's basically how I'm going to do that. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be doing 2 sets. I'm just doing 1. So what I'm going to do here is I got one cut out for the 300 side, and this one is cut out for the extra. So nothing difficult about this process right here. Alright. And there you go. You got one letter basically. Take the backing off, put a piece of tape down on the wing or wherever you're gonna put it, just so that you can make sure everything's aligned. Like for example, let's say I put this tape on the wing, you can just align all your monocoat down before you actually put some heat to it and iron it down to the actual surface. Alright, so that's pretty much how I do some of my letterings. If I'm not using the cry cut machine, do it by hand, manually, and I've been doing it this way for a long time, until my wife actually got the cry cut machine, and then that just made life that much easier. So I just wanted to show you basically how I do some of these lettering, cutting letterings and from monocoat way back in the day, and still do it, not recently, but I'm gonna do it for this extra 300. Alright guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the 3 just a little bit bigger here. I'm gonna keep the zeros the same size. Alright, the 3 is just gonna be the only one bigger, just to give it that wicked weird look, you know. I'm not trying to be politically correct here. So what I did, because I'm gonna throw in a little twist at the same time, I put red down first, and then I put the black monocoat on top of the red, and then as you can see, red, black, and then the design. Alright, so when I cut down into it, I'm actually cutting a red number 3 and a black number 3, and then we're gonna put them together on the wing to give it this look. Alright, everything out here just basically freehand. So if it's crooked, it's crooked, you know. If it's straight, straight. Just trying to keep it as straight as I can. Alright, so you can see we got black and then we got red. Alright, now let's get back this way. I can go with a 3, right? Like this. Give it that look, or give it that look, or give it that look, or give it that look. So I mean, I could do it multiple ways, and then, or I can make the 3 actually do this number, and then the black 0, 0. So I don't know. I'm thinking I'm gonna do the red on the top. You guys think I should do this? Should I go like this? Should I do this? Should I do that? Ooh, that looks good. Should I do that? How about that? That looks kind of wicked, doesn't it? Looks kind of different. Well, how about like that? No, I was joking. Alright. So let's do something like that right there. Trying to get this thing done so I could finish. I could post this on YouTube. I'm gonna take this off the tripod. Alright, so there we go. That's pretty much how I got it, guys. Alright, and that worked for me. Alright guys, welcome back. So we are pretty much about 99% done with the Goldberg Extra 300. With the covering and stuff. I just need to basically finish up the black here in the front of the cowling, and then clear coat the canopy, the cowling, and also the wheel pants, and then hook up the control surfaces
and epoxy and hinge, all that. Just basically, you know, we're almost there. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for subscribing to the channel if you already subscribed. And if you are not subscribed to the channel, please like and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on future videos that I put out. And also, hey, share it. Alright? Appreciate it. Alright, guys. Shoo shoo! Anyhow, I also want to just wish you guys Merry Christmas. Today is December 25th. Alright, so Merry Christmas to you all.